fingernails. He's laughing at us. You got what you deserved. He's alive! He's alive!
This is one of the best movies I've seen since I started watching movies. This one came out. I remember seeing it in the early 2000s or so, and it came out in the 90s. Remember, and I just remember it being just such a gripping experience. The film is just masterfully done, and don't even get me started on the writing. All right, the screenplay is just it's something special. Really the whole movie is this is an experience. Seven follows two detectives, a rookie and a veteran, as they hunt down a serial killer who uses the 7 deadly sins as his motives. So I remember seeing this movie as a teenager. I was maybe 16 or so, something like that. And I just remember just when I watched it feeling so grim and hopeless. And this is like immediately, like after like 5 minutes in, and I think that's a testament just to the movie itself and how they're able to pull you into that experience and to feel those feelings immediately. And I mean this in a good way, these detectives are working this crime in this grim city, and it's like you're almost feeling the same feelings that they feel, and I just think, that's just a big part of why I love the movie so much. Again, they have great lighting and things like that that help with that feeling. But I think one of the big things for me was that there's just so much attention to detail in this movie. And for me, it's all those little things that really made the whole experience just very immersive for me.
We had this case once. Guy dead on the ground. Knife in his back. Gotta be murder, right? Fuck.
That scene, just that little clip, is so ripe with detail. I mean, look at that roach crawling over the food.
Big insurance policy involved, yeah. This guy took the tip of the blade, stuck it in his own shoulder blades, and he must have screwed up a few times because there was multiples back there.
Could you please be quiet?
The attention to detail is just astounding, And that's a big reason why I love this movie so much, I feel like all those details just really make the world feel lived in. These past few clips are from the gluttony murder, one of the 7 deadly sins. And, you can see all the random junk in the house, all the jars, like the half-eaten spaghetti, right? This feels like a crime scene, It doesn't feel like a movie scene of the crime scene. So something that can sometimes go unnoticed just with great movies, at least in my opinion, is the writing. This film has one of the best screenplays I've ever read by far. It was written by Andrew Kevin Walker, and it is a really special screenplay. Something that I just love about this screenplay is how terse it is, but at the same time, you can still imagine the whole movie in your head as you read it. You can see the whole thing in your mind's eye, And as I was reading this screenplay, I was like shocked, but also kind of amazed at just how descriptive everything was without it sounding like a novel. Every now and then I'll just go back to this screenplay just to read it and study it because it's a great screenplay. If you like writing, I highly recommend just giving this one a read and studying it. I've learned a lot from it. I'm sure you will too, because you gotta think, you got this amazing screenplay already, and then you add in David Fincher and Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt and this whole amazing cast and crew. And now you've got something, really special.
You're a Bentley right now. I'm just gonna put spinners on that thing.
Another reason why this film is just so compelling to me is just the level of detail and planning around the crimes. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm hearing Detective Mills and Detective Somerset shoot around theories and just talk about different facts about the case, right? And you kind of get the feeling, or at least I did, that this killer or whoever is doing these crimes is, for lack of a better word, like a professional. This guy is like calculated. So there's this whole scene about the sloth deadly sin, or whatever. So this is the victim that was basically stuck to his bed for a whole year without anyone noticing. And I'm thinking, okay, how does that work? How does somebody get away with that? And, a little later in the scene, right, you have Somerset basically reading like an interview from the victim's landlord, right? And he kind of gives some key facts about the case. And it just really, like, blew me away because it really shows you how detailed like this killer is about the crime.
And nobody ever complained about him. He's the best tenant I've ever had. End quote.
Yeah, landlord's dream. Paralyzed tenant with no tongue.
Who pays the rent on time.
This guy, right, to pay somebody's rent for like a year just so no one like thinks anything's off and goes looking for this person is just such a smart thing to do. And it's just intriguing as well, because this isn't like a nuclear physicist, this is like a serial killer, which is kind of scary, but intriguing and compelling at the same time.
We walked into that apartment exactly 1 year after he tied Victor to the bed. 1 year to the day. He wanted us to.
Don't know that for sure.
Oh, yes, we do.
One of my absolute favorite things about this movie is the characters, like Detective Mills and Detective Somerset, right? An amazing duo. And they really made this movie just like an incredible experience for me. They're so polar opposite, but at the same time, their chemistry just works so well together, There's scenes where, you can clearly see how wise Detective Somerset is and just, how that helps Mills in certain situations.
I don't see anything.
You sure?
Please, I can't do this right now.
Okay.
It's got to be now. There may be something we haven't seen.
I think the character's difference in opinion and life stage also just adds like a deeper dimension to the movie. I think it also just makes everything like richer. And even with the age gap, you can really see how, Mill's youthful ambition affects Somerset in a way, and, it seems like it reminds him of who he used to be.
You meant what you said in Mrs. School, didn't you? About catching this guy.
Yeah.
I wish I still thought the way you do.
Now, you have all the murders, right? You have the, the 7 deadly sins, right? The investigation. You have, Detective Mills and Somerset struggling through all of this. And it all eventually leads, to the man only known as John Doe, the man behind the crimes.
No big surprise.
Detective!
You're looking for me.
What's your fucking move?
You don't even see him till maybe the last 25 minutes of the movie, but he's probably the most interesting character in the entire film. Like, it's crazy. And I think, just the decision to show him at the very end of the movie, it just creates this like surreal feeling when you finally get there. So there's a scene near the end of the movie where Detective Mills and Detective Somerset have John Doe in the back of the police car, and even in that short scene, you get a real snapshot of, how this guy thinks and just his philosophy in general.
I'm setting the example. And what I've done is going to be puzzled over and studied and followed.
Now, this movie came out, 30 years ago or so, but if there's any sort of representation of the phrase, the movie still holds up, it's this film. It was great then. It's probably even better now, right? It is just truly just an incredible, incredible movie. Now, there's a little surprise at the end. It's probably one of the most shocking things I've ever seen in a movie, like by far. Now, the movie, it's 30 years old, so you've probably heard about that scene. But if on the off chance that you have not heard about it, I do not want to ruin, that crazy moment for you. This is a spectacular film, directed by David Fincher, written by Andrew Kevin Walker. It's a dream team of a cast and crew. right? This is just an experience, you know. If you've already seen the movie before, watch it again. It's probably even better the second time.